Hello everybody, my name is Tekareri. I'm a student at the University of Ottawa, and today I'm going to be talking to you about amotivation during a climate crisis. This is a study about motivation, psychology, and the role of information in media in the climate crisis. It's always been important for me to be an environmentally conscious person, to avoid single-use plastics, keep my energy consumption low. However, I've noticed a persistent laziness, being blasé about certain issues. I've noticed this behavior in myself and in the behavior of my peers and family, and it's something that I'm pretty uncomfortable with. I don't want to be an amotivated person because I know exactly how severe the issue is. So that's how this study started, and that's what I'm going to be exploring. This is an ethnographic study, which means instead of hard quantitative facts, we're going to focus more on my personal feelings and my personal experiences. My main method of data collection involves several field sites that are pertinent to the research, detailed note-taking, which I then code for patterns in my own behavior, and some loose, semi-structured interviews. I'm going to be using this data to answer the research question, why am I unmotivated to take action against climate change despite my knowledge of the issue? And also to answer, what would it take to motivate me? I'd like to analyze problems, but I'd also like to provide solutions. The first field site I want to discuss with you is the Climate Change Teach-In held at the University of Ottawa on September 26, 2019. At this event, leaders and some of our professors came together to educate the student body about climate change issues. And during this presentation, there were a great deal of stats and statistical figures about the climate change situation. And most of these figures were deeply negative, because that's the environmental state that we live in. It is this presentation of information that I feel contributes to one of my main findings, and that is the idea of global helplessness. Global helplessness follows that people are daunted by the enormity of climate change as an issue and feel that they cannot impact it. They view it as an insurmountable obstacle. I find this is a possible justification for amotivation during a climate crisis. In my own personal coding, I found several instances of global helplessness in certain words like helpless, enormous, and pointless. The second field site I want to discuss with you is the University of Calgary in Alberta. I attended the university for a year studying politics and had some loose interviews with some of my former classmates still there today. I found that there's a sharp difference in the amount of climate change discourse over there versus here at the University of Ottawa. And I feel that this might tie into one of my main findings, which is the idea of perceived susceptibility. Perceived susceptibility is the idea that people are more inclined to take action against climate change if they view it as a personal problem for them. And this ties in with the University of Calgary because it might explain their lack of discourse. Because if you are in a landlocked area such as Alberta, rising sea levels might not seem like a problem for you. And broadening that to the whole Canada scope, if you live in a cold climate, global warming might not seem like an issue for you personally. So perceived susceptibility at the University of Calgary is one possible justification for amotivation during a climate crisis. The last field site I want to discuss with you is the climate strike that occurred in Ottawa on September 27, 2019. At this strike, thousands gathered to advocate for climate action. And this helps me answer the research question, what would it take to motivate me? This introduces one of my final findings, and that's this notion of connective action. Connective action is a theory of social movements that argues that the ideal way to motivate people is to get their political engagement to intersect with their personal expression. And I saw a lot of instances in this in the media at the climate strike. People were completely intersecting their personal lifestyles with their political engagement, and this was also done in a way that was highly encouraged to be shared online, which is something that connective action advocates for. So to motivate myself and others, connective action is the way to do it. Walking away from this video, I hope that you're able to recognize some of the reasons for amotivation within your own life. If you're feeling tenets of global helplessness, I would recommend trying to access feelings of anger and frustration, because I found that in my coding of my feelings, when I was feeling angry, it was impossible to feel scared and helpless at the same time. If you're feeling issues of perceived susceptibility, I'd recommend accessing some empathy and education, because people whose lives are not close to you are just as important as you, and if you educate yourself about the climate issue, you'll realize that everyone is affected and susceptible in some way. And if you want to motivate yourself and others, I recommend doing it in a way that intersects the political engagement with your personal expression. Thank you very much for watching. Again, my name is Tekareri, and I hope you're feeling motivated.